All right, so I said we want to come back to why is somebody getting into this in the first place, right? So in our little example here, we're paying 1.5%, and we're receiving whatever the 10-year treasury is, right? Whatever that is. Now, most of the time you're not going to see the variable based on 10-year treasury. It's probably going to be the 1-year treasury, and then you're looking at this 1-year treasury rate, and you're kind of plotting this along here, right? But just for argument's sake, let's say we're using the 1-year treasury as the variable rate. Generally not going to use the 10-year. So why is somebody getting into this? Well, it's likely that the bank is not going to underwrite a fixed rate loan for its customers because they believe that interest rates are much more fluid, and they would rather get their interest sensitive receivables at loans to fluctuate with their interest sensitive liabilities, their deposits. So banks are generally not going to write fixed rate loans. Customers want certainty in their expenses. They want a fixed rate loan. For any of you that have maybe bought a house, did you ever think about a variable rate loan? Probably a little scary for some people. I would strongly recommend you should always get a variable rate loan because the likelihood that you're going to be in the house longer than 5 years is pretty small. So getting a 5.1 or a 7.1 adjustable rate mortgage makes a lot of sense because you're likely going to sell out of that first house and get into something different. So the bank is not going to write a fixed rate loan, and customers want a fixed rate loan. So what do? They get into an interest rate swap. The customer wants to pay fixed, and then they receive floating. If that receipt of floating matches the floating rate on the loan, cancels out. So imagine. So for the loan, we're paying 1.4%. There's a credit spread and all that, but just the piece that is moving is this variable piece. We don't care about the spread. So if the customer pays the bank floating, say the 1-year treasury, then when they get the swap, the customer receives floating 1-year treasury, and the customer pays the swap company fixed. Okay, so let's just think about these 3 payment streams, right? So customer pays floating and receives floating, and they are the same. These 2 legs cancel out, even though these are 2 different contracts. So the net effect is with the loan and the swap, the customer is paying fixed interest. They're paying it to the swap company, but overall, they are paying a fixed interest on the same notional amount.